First, introduce yourself to the listeners, and then we will dive into our conversation today.
Okay, yeah. Hello, listeners. Edward Mukiibi. I reside in the UK. I'm a resident of the UK. I came here in 2017,
Mm.
and I'm on my journey to become a UK permanent resident and citizen.
That's I'm Bonnie Kibuka. On my podcast, the Ugandan Boy Talk Show, I've had an honor to sit down with some of the most incredible hearts and minds from Uganda, like Miss Uganda Oliver Nakakande, Joram Ozor Job, the Executive Director of Joram Model Management, Pastor Wilson Bugembe, and many, many more. On this podcast, you get to hear raw and real life stories of their journey, what they've been through, and the people that have inspired their journey so that they can make a difference in ours. Listen to the Ugandan Boy Talk Show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. Join the journey soon. I'm honored to have you on the podcast today. You and I don't really know each other a lot, but I've come across you a few times. The first time was when I was recording with your wife on the podcast here, and then I saw you in the background. But also, like for your guys' anniversary, your wife released like a YouTube video that you guys recorded together, and I listened to it, the whole of it. I was actually doing dishes. I didn't just be in Tunga. I had it there, and I watched, and I just couldn't stop laughing. And I don't think the first time I waved to you, we even said a word, but I was like, I can connect with this guy a lot. And
Yeah.
one time too, like your wife saw me, I said, how many Arsenal jerseys do you have? And then I saw her in the Arsenal jerseys, like, Munangenza, City was it? I was like, didn't take So so with all those things going around, I felt like I can really connect very well with you, and I wanted to have you on the podcast to have a conversation just about life and most of the things you touched on that I connect with you. I'm a dad, you're a dad. I left Uganda, came to America. You left Uganda, you came to the UK. So there's a lot of things that we connect, and I wanted to have a conversation with that because maybe a listener will be listening and pick a thing or two from our conversation. But I want to start with your life in Uganda. Like, tuganatandikira Uganda, and then we'll drive our conversation to where we're at right now. When I listened to a YouTube video, you talked about in school, tewaigaranga new mathematics.
Yes.
But me, I didn't have a problem with mathematics because I ended up doing it in senior six. But
Yeah.
chemistry was the thing for me. The chemistry, ngasibitegeera.
For me, mathematics, I I think it was more of the interest. Whenever we used to study mathematics and then go to these basic things, 1 plus 1, I'll be like, okay, 2 plus 2. They go like that. They advance slowly by slowly.
Yeah.
And then it gets to a point whereby they start things like simultaneous equations, Pythagoras, like those charts and what. So I would lose concentration. If I put in a lot of effort, maybe I would have learned those things. But I had this attitude that I could calculate that if I pass these topics, I would get like 60% in a paper. So I would just stop there and then
Yeah.
I would be like, yeah, just make noise in class, do my own stuff. that kind of thing.
That was me in
Yeah, but
chemistry. Because chemistry is
that was in chemistry, yeah.
like even when the teacher would come and teach, like they just fly away. And chemistry was scheduled at the wrong time. That's when they were training for the football team. That's when they train.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
liked football. So like sometimes I'll be like, Nikati, I'm gonna waste my time here studying this Semanya sodium carbonate. If you mix sodium carbonate with what, then you get this Semanya CO2. I just run away from the class and I go play soccer. Then
Yeah,
somebody.
it's also like what I'm saying is that you see, like they have periodic tables and all that. And the problem in Uganda is that when a child is not doing well in a certain subject, people go to the conclusion that "Oyo mwana musiru, oyo mwana
Yeah.
tamanyi," that stuff, because they have a specific path whereby they want that child to be going through. They say, okay, I'm not good at engineer, enough good at this and this and this. But in actual sense, I was good at certain subjects when I got to my A level, like computer, and I among the best. I really, really got a D1 and all that kind of stuff. And there were other people who were not good at that. That means they were not interested. That is the biggest challenge that is in Uganda and these other in the African countries, is that people don't listen to the child to the child, and then they know that this child is interested in this and this. They just go with their own judgment that, oh, if this child is not a lawyer, agenda kunswaza.
Right.
You understand? When
Yeah.
agenda kunswaza, how ani Murwana nanda babatya, Chimbugwa nanda babatya, mama who will see my son, their son is a doctor, he's making money. How about mine? How can mine do this and that? So that is the challenge, and yet these kids, their strengths lie elsewhere, because they may not be interested in math. Because even up to now, even if I did history and all this kind of stuff in my A-level, and I did head ent and all that kind of history and what, at a certain point, I wanted to drop history, but then I got an A in history. So things can change over time. You can be here and you say, I want to be a pilot. Then in about like 8 months time, you change your mind. So and that's how kids are. Their choices are delicate. They can be like, oh, I want to be a pilot. The parent goes, oh wow, mwana wange, yeah, mwana wange mugeze nyoyo, mwana oyo agenda kunswaza. Then within 8 months, the child is doing backslides, like MJ and what, moonwalking in the sitting room.
Tato mwana afuuse muyayi.
Ate omwana afuuse muyayi kati anywa enjaga.
Akuba
Kyayagala
break
oyo omwana
dance.
oyo okubeera ng'ayogera ne Gondi. Oyo omwana oyo akuba n'essimu. Ndowooza omwana wo oyo Thomas oyo ageza n'akyala wano. Bakozesa ebiragalagala. Sibiyagala. That kind of thing.
I think also this goes back to the teachers, like the teachers who told us, because some teachers, and I'm not going to say all of them, some teachers are just for money. I know Nyakasentika rent. He's not going to put time into discovering what this child does best. How do these kids learn? They find a way how you learn. Even at my job, Olga Yambuza, how do you learn best? Nobody has ever asked me that question. Like, assuming auntie, every child is going to learn like every child in the class. There's some kids who learn through visual, like you have to show him like, hey, this works better like this. Or there's some kids who will just see the thing and then it's in the head, like the kids who just learn right away, but like the teachers didn't put in the effort to understand how kids learn better. So the bonone baba twaliramu group yem, like they all just take them at the same time, and if you're slack behind, you're going to repeat. But so I don't think they invested a lot of time into learning how kids learn, and I think that's something that you can tell the teachers to. But you mentioned computer. So I had this here computer guru, and you shared that, and on top of that, your wife says like you help her with the edits and stuff. Because I usually see her content on Instagram. Hey, content one. My husband, he's the man behind. He's producer. I mean, you're like the producer behind the scenes, and we don't see you on the scenes, but we just see the work you do. How did you pick interest in computers, even from Uganda?
My mother used to work in Makerere University. She was an administrator at Huripic. I think that is human rights something. It used to be down there next to Faculty of Law. It was called Huripic. It was a section next to Faculty of Law. So she had a computer. So when I was like 5-6 years, I used to go there in the office, and she used to give me papers of her work, and I used to type and try out. So I was impressed. This thing was looking nice, typing and all that stuff, playing. So it's called Solitaire.
Solitaire, yeah.
There's a game, Solitaire. Play Solitaire there, and printing papers. And I was so fascinated the way things were working out. So I think she saw this interest in me. So she took me to Lohana Academy. It was a school where it was an Indian school. I don't know if you've heard about it.
Yeah, I've heard about it.
So I went to Lohana, and we used to use computers from P1. So whenever I tell Sissy that I used to use computers from P1, she's like, what?
Yeah.
She got shocked. But for me, a computer became something that was so normal to me. We used to do different things like using the computer, using command prompt. whereby you do all that stuff, access the files using cd.cls, all those commands, cd space, access the directory and everything. So it opened up my mind, and I really liked using computers all the time. Then when I got to A level, I decided to take it as a subject. And then, of course, I learned more stuff. But still, I used to do a lot of stuff, different things, trying out different things, designing websites, everything. But then when I went to university, my mom said that no, you're not going to do computer, you're going to do economics. You know how
Yeah.
parents, how of
Yeah.
course, this and that. But still, I remained with the interest. So I kept on learning different things, doing different things, music production that involves mixing, mastering, video editing, using various softwares, Premiere Pro, DaVinci Resolve, color grading, like everything. So my whole world was evolved around computers, animation, using maybe Autodesk Maya, using Blender, using now these days I try to use Moho. Like then I noticed that a computer is really the way to go. So when I came to the UK, this was where my mind really like blew up, because now I ended up going into photography. We had a baby shoot. You know how ladies they check on the internet. Oh, this person has said, there's a free shoot. What I was
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, fine, let's go. So we get there. So this lady makes an appointment with us. She takes the photos when Sissy is still pregnant, like a week to go. Then she says, no, we shall check the photos. So it was like a trick. Shall check the photos after you give birth, and we take the second shoot. So the second shoot comes up when we have the baby, we take the photo. Now, the lady calls us like after 2 weeks. It was after some time when the baby has kind of like a bit grown. So now she's calculating that. She was clever. She calculated that now she's no longer pregnant. Those photos are gone. They won't get a chance. Now the baby has grown, and maybe this delicate touch to the baby and the skin, all that stuff has developed somehow very well. They won't get those photos. Then we come like after 3 weeks later. Then she's like, now this is the menu. I give you a menu. You know what? This is first showed us the photos, everything. These are the photos, that. And actually, as far as I remember, I think she wanted us to go, both of us, but then I went alone, and she was insisting, no, you should come with your wife. I shouldn't have told
Because
you.
they
So
can
now I think
convince
she
her.
wanted that when Sissy comes, Sissy would cry and cry, and then I'll be like, oh no, my wife is crying. Oh my god, I have to smash this cash. I can't get embarrassed here.
Yeah.
And you know that feeling, eh?
Yeah.
And I'm glad I did not go with her. Yeah, I've remembered I did not go with her. So by the time I got there, showed me the photos. Then she was like, you know what? £1,000. I was like, oh my god,
Holy
what?
cow. Yeah.
Man, I just come to the UK. I'm like, but and the pounds here are very,
Yeah.
very hard,
Yeah.
very, very hard. So I end up bargaining and cutting out some photos, and I managed to get like 20 photos from her for about maybe 700
Yeah.
pounds. That was a lot of money. 700 pounds is a lot of money for 20 photos. So in my mind, I was like, what? I could have done this. I was like, what? I could have done this. So I said, you know what? It's now time to buy a camera. So I worked for like 3 months. When I bought my first camera, it was a Fujifilm X-T100. It was a intermediate camera.
Yeah.
You know how cameras are, you can change different things. Now this one didn't have only had one memory card. Professional, the one I have right now has two memory cards. One I have is Pro. Now I have an XT4. But then before I had that small camera, but at least you could change lenses. So I took pictures, learned Minecraft. Then I also learned how to use Photoshop, Capture One. Okay, I knew how to use Photoshop.
Yeah.
Then I started learning how to use these other softwares like Capture One, because Capture One was the standard. Yeah, but then that made me realize that I can do anything. And now I'm working on a new project which should be out probably around early next year, January, whereby I'll be involving my children,
Yeah.
me and Sissy, and also a few cartoon characters. So I want to break into the production of kids cartoons.
Nice. That's awesome, and I like listening to that journey. The part you talked about the pictures, I can relate with that because we just had a baby, a little. I think she's like 3 months now, but the newborn pictures we were looking at. My wife was looking at people who take newborn pictures, and they were like 700. I'm like, I'm not spending that much money just for pictures. Like you could buy a camera for $700. You know, like that you take pictures
Yeah,
for all the time. And but one of her best friends was like, oh, I want to give you a gift, and I'm gonna pay for the pictures. So they had to go take newborn pictures. But yeah, it's crazy expensive. In these countries you have to learn how to do your craft, like to do your own thing, like it's hard. And you have to catch up with the life here. So I want to go
yeah.
to the part where you decide to leave Uganda. I was like, Katya, ngenze kunonya sent. I know you mentioned that in the episode. Like, what was that part time when you're like, like ngene nonye ka sente? Uganda can so kenji veko.
So now, when I was in Uganda, things honestly had become a bit hard because I'd worked in like Centenary Bank for some time, about let me say from 2015,
Which
2017.
branch?
That was
Okay.
Mitiana branch. So as you know, if you've worked before in any organization, there comes a time like about 3 years or something. Because my mother used to talk about it a lot. Would be like, remember that I had my mother saying this thing sometime when she was telling her friends that when you work in a job for like 3 years, there something happens. Like about 3 years, the relationships between you and your bosses become a little bit, you understand?
Mm-hmm.
Bitandika okukaluba
Yeah.
kalubamu, omanyi mutandika kati omanyi bosi wo kyaliko naye
So
amanyi
well,
kyoliko somehow ekitegeera kati awo katiga if you continue there can be some dirty games occurring there.
yeah.
So in my senses I was like, you know what, let me start my exit. But at that moment of time, I did not know where I was going. But in my mind, I said it's time to what? To exit. I could feel it. I could see how things were happening. The the different workmates, the way they were relating with the bosses, and things were not moving a little bit well. So Sissy tells me, you know what? So I proposed to her. I proposed to her in March. That was like March 2017, and then things start taking a different direction.
Mm-hmm.
Bana nitegekee kuchala this. I lost weight. How the I lost weight. I proposed and in my mind I thought, okay, yeah, I proposed now, things will be a
Did
little
you
bit.
do did you do like a formal proposal, like back in the day? I don't know how. Kwange Ida, like the Kwanjula was like the proposal, but nowadays people are doing those "Will you marry me" things like in the. Did you do that too, where you go on your knee?
Yeah. I did that, but I didn't over publicize it. I've seen
Okay,
people doing different things like newspapers. I'm like,
I know.
these guys are throwing money like Nigerians.
Yeah.
Like I see people even decor what
Hmm.
the cameraman hides somewhere in a forest, then he jumps out like a gorilla. So I'm like, you know what? So I propose. Then the next day, Sissy calls the dad, tells the dad, you know what? This guy has proposed to me. I'm like, what? And I was there seated.
Hmm.
I was like, oh my god, why? What is she? I couldn't say anything. Like, what am I going to tell? What am I going to tell this guy? This, and that. So they arrange. We have the Kuchala 1 week's time, and they tell me, you know what? We want this, and that.
Hmm.
So I'm like,
Back 70.
and tell what this and that. I was like, what? This is too much for me.
Yeah.
It was too much. So I'm like, okay, now we have to look for it. So I sit with family and all those people, and then we kind of organize and all that kind of stuff. So we proceed looking for money, looking for money. That time was so hard, so hard. So after the wedding, things became a bit hard. But at that time, also, Sissy got the scholarship and she came.
She came
When
by
Sissy
herself,
asked
or
me
you
to
came together?
she came by herself like
Okay.
a month before.
Okay.
She came a month before, I came a month later. Now that time I was seeing at the bank things were becoming very, very difficult. the work was becoming harder, climbing ladders, getting files, like it was becoming so hard. And then Sissy told me that, do you want to come? This she had, of course she had told me, and I wouldn't refuse. I was like, you know what?
Right.
Let me just go. Let me just go because I saw the salary, the things were so bad.
Yeah.
You understand? And I wanted a new adventure, and I had no ties. I had no land in Uganda that I wanted to buy, or maybe I was doing anything like a master's or something like that. So I said, okay, you know what? Now let's go. But of course, reaching the UK, my God,
Mm.
it
Life was
was
hard.
fabulous.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fabulous.
Yeah.
The first time I came here, I looked at all the roads. I was like, what? Like I could not believe what I was seeing. It was like as if I was in the movie,
Yeah.
a real movie, an actual American movie.
Yeah.
Because, and you know, when you're in Uganda, you think that the UK is called London or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, when I came here, it told me Great Britain, London. I remember, I mean, UK. I was like, what? So I see different things. I see roads. I see people organized. Eh? I see about Veda on road. I don't see anything, any dirt. Eh? I
Yeah.
was like, wow. I even started imagining, maybe I can walk here barefooted or something like that. The place was so good. The SCs, it was winter, but the SCs were like doing things very well. I remember the first time I went to the supermarkets were clean. The fridges were,
Yeah.
like everything was like I'd never seen any form of standardization to that level. Like the tomatoes, the everything was just standardized, organized. People were there, this and that. So I was like, wow, H&H4 is this? I was like, this is not real.
I
You
think it was the
understand?
same thing for me when I first came to America.
Yeah.
That okay, no, Amani, not all states have license plates mass on Maviga. So like, because
Hey,
if we got the Zina license plate, I'm like, hey, great, I mean, we got the license plates. Like, the cars all looked brand new, and that was like the first time I was here before I knew like the. You could, because there's some other side of America where you see about off game, okay, we can't in the countrysides
hey.
and stuff like that. But when I first came, in Gudo, like everything. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in the real movie. But I
Yeah,
mean,
so generally, yeah, that was it was I was impressed, honestly. I was like, wow,
yeah,
this place is really nice. And then I saw their food, but of course, when I also tasted their food, I realized that it's kind of different.
yeah,
Like they took me to Nando's, and then I tasted the chicken, and I told the people, the good thing they were Ugandans also. So I told them, you know what, you people, this chicken tastes like there's a chemical here. They looked at me because it was different. I like it was different. You understand? It was
yeah.
different. And I was like, you know what? I looked at the Nando's and I saw it was different from the Nando's of Uganda
Kampala
that was
Road,
there,
yeah,
Kampala Road or something like that. Anyway, generally, I was so impressed. I saw things were like almost automatic. No, not going to see a doctor without an appointment. Like everything was just. Then at that moment, I realized, you know what? The wali gender ga.
so I,
I'm staying here, and I deserve to be here.
exactly. But one more my food there. I know you mentioned this in your guys'
Hey, yeah,
video when you did a
yeah,
YouTube video, like Bubango mind
yeah,
your food there, like you know your
yes,
struggles, you know where, and you
yes,
get an opportunity, you don't
yeah.
let it go. Like hold on
Yeah,
to an
you don't have to
opportunity
let it go.
and
Yeah.
just hold on to that. So
So no matter what,
yeah,
I went, I started working. I did some jobs catching up no care work, bichi. Of course, otukayo no newe nyinyala
yeah,
okitegeera. And that's the funny thing. Some Ugandans bwe bajja eno ne bagamba abantu, bakyogamba abantu no bankoze bido, bichi. But that's life, you understand?
it's
That's
part of
life.
your story. Yeah,
It's part of the story, you know, and I'm proud of it. So then,
yeah,
ja, nenkolayo care work. Nengenda naye of course waliyo nga some racism osanga omuntu ono
exactly.
aba
Yeah.
nakola biki nga bwobimanyi naye nga abamu balina dementia obireka naye nga omanyi nokwata sente zo wano mu nsawo oteeka busere nga ndaba sente nyingi okitegeera bwoba okomparinga nga ovudde eri nga earninga like about £200 a month n'otuuka eno ne bakukwasako nga 1,500
Yeah.
ate bweokola extra shifts n'oyongeramu akasente ogamba kati awo nengenda nenkola n'ogenda kati waliwo ga story wotuuka nga waliwo gayi gwe ndagera ne nkolako bannange gayi ga ali eyo naye nga gayi munene omanyi omuntu omunene gweva kuba n'abantu bano abanene gayi munene ayiika n'okuyiika
tubayita bangi nga gayi mungi
gayi ga mungi gayi ga munene omanyi abanene babasitula ne gundi babateekako nga robot era nga hoist okiteekateekako wansi gundi oteekako hoist kati bano bagayi bali bagezi bano abazungu for them they cannot send their fellow white guys there to take care of this guy. They send only like the black guys or these who are working in an agency. You know, they are permanent staff and there's an agency come to and support. So they said now they just pick on guys. This guy, this African guy, he's the one who can go and work on this guy. So they get to me African guy, some other guy from Sierra Leone. Until we get there, this guy. Abantu abamu tebebalirira musipo tebebalirira already oli munene naye abasawo bagamba nti no nywa lya balanced diet like they are telling a patient eat a balanced diet eat well and do this this guy in the morning bwe tugenda omujjayo soka tumuteekako ne tumurolinga nasika nakolako obwasi ne tumurolinga ne tuteekako gayi ne tumusitula ne gayi bwemusitula bwe bati apama amazzi ne gayitamu nga mazzi omanyi amazzi ddala va ku bino kino kiddukano naye amazzi ddala nga bwoyinza okukwata glaasi y'amazzi noyo amazzi I don't know oli gayi bambi I felt sorry for him it was really bad gamazzi gayitiramu ddala
there's this show gye simanya 1,000-pound sister I don't know if it shows in the UK but they have it here in America I stopped watching that kwanza ngaba 1,000 pounds like bikulu kinuma mutima omuntu nga bwogambye like personally mungi kikaba mugamba eat a balanced diet try this to save your life they don't think about it that one time you're not going to be able to do things on your own like you're going to have people I don't enjoy that life where I'm just rolled buns okugenda okulya banstropsuzi ogenda okuna abantu like why do you need that like if you can avoid that try to avoid it
Auntie, the thing that kinalaba wano is that abantu kirabika mbo balya buli kye balaba because obide sente bazina systems weziye ziba supporting nga bw'okimanyi benefit system nambo mugina that side baba wa buli kimu naye kwegamba nze kyakinyiza what I really the picture I felt inside me was that this guy I could think a guy is dying but there's no way you can give him advice because they'll take it that you're rude and maybe you lose your job about what they say that you're rude or this. The guy azukuka, nafuwa sigala, najwa ne coffee, nga mulimu sukali mungi, nalya chocolate, ebyo nga byalya coffee chocolate, talya mmere. Nga balina emmere. Nga tutuuka eri nga naffe batusavinga emmere, nga tulya emmere. Full course meal nga bakuwa vegetables buli kimu, ng'emmere eri healthy buli kimu. The
one part I connected with Joayogedeko, I don't want to skip that part to emphasize it. Abantu kyasoko okujja mbongo banga when I first came to America nti you would find other people abakola wano nga they're happy with their jobs nga tafayo gamba I'm a cleaner nongosa because afuna sente zimulabirira but in Uganda emirimu bwekyo ng'ogikweka nga twagala abantu bamanye nti oli cleaner osegera oba katugeze obuwalawala like you can't go to a girl n'omugamba ndi cleaner ne oba ng'olongoosa oba ngo okuba oba opoota kangambe okupoota kwe kwali mu Uganda ng'opoota oweereza amabulooka naki ebyo tobigamba muwala omugamba nkola mu office ya gundi wali but when I came here abantu abasinga nze bwe nalinanga they're not scared about that. It's like I clean. Then I get natuka chantwa the bang, but I do such time nigga. This is my job. This is where I get money, and I'm gonna be proud of it. And I think the other day I just released a lot of clips. You know how like on Instagram yang I'm saying like I clean the toilet. Nakola musoma jina somera nga tusimu to olongosa toyi ku vacuuminga bizimbe kusala muddo. I did all that, and I'm not ashamed of it. And I can say it because I know it was part of my journey. I'm not doing that anymore because I knew that my goal, but to get to that point,
yes.
You have to
Yes.
go through different steps to get to where you want
Different
to
steps.
get.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Because even me, Katula Katinga care that care work, care work is bangambe but yeah. Care work has so many things about it. Kati nga guy oino munaza. Oino mulisa. Because sometimes I could work night shifts whereby you go in that night shift, you have to clean everything, toilets, bathrooms, or mopinge. So basically, you're like a maid. But when you look at it and you balance it out, you're like, okay, yes, I came from a bank. I was working in a bank. I didn't call it bank. I didn't that status,
yeah.
so-called status. Bank, okay. Naye nzize eno side eno nkola ki? Yemukola care work and all that. Then you weigh in, okay, now I'm working care work, I'm going to get money. This money is going to help. Because with that money, I was able to help out to pay for part of CC's exams. Whatever. Like the English exams and all that stuff. Whatever. So it helped me to contribute to that. Nemanya money. Bwana asigala wano. Ngenda kubeera nga ndi able okukola ki? Ofuna residence. Oba biki byonna passport. Kati when you see the end goal, whatever you'll be earning towards the end, it doesn't matter what you're doing.
Exactly. It doesn't matter
matter
what you're doing.
because kati nze ngenda okubeera awo nga I'm the one who left last.
And the other thing too, like that, when along was Zanga toy, when I was a cleaner, the money I earned, I was single. I didn't have sign bills. Yeah, I was building my house in Uganda. So like whatever I did, okufuna sente simumakuwa machamu, but over cleaning a toilet, I was able to build a house. But how many people ababeereyo nga bagala office jobs oba bazita bacha color jobs nga talina renting nga talina
Yes,
nakalagawo,
it's also here. I've seen that abazungu they respect everyone in whatever they are doing. They realize that even the cleaners are important to the society.
Yeah.
Because they contribute. Because without them, you can have a public health crisis. No one is cleaning this and this and that. Because abantu bajasikala bakozesa facilities or public toilets and mopping and all that stuff. Because they are maintaining the areas. Banabakola bonna mu supermarkets okiraba.
I wanted to get to that part. We guys talked about it in my video. When you made the decision to stay home when Sissy was working, when you had the kids, I related to that. I mean, I was not in your shoes to experience what you went through. But when you guys talked about it, I wanted to discuss more about it because there's a lot of people, especially when mu Uganda, wachogeddeko ku video. Nogamba abantu abakirabira wabweru bakirabanga omusajja talina kyali abeera waka, but for you it was from the heart. It was something you did from out of love. These are my kids, this is my family. If it needs sacrifice, I'm going to sacrifice. How was that a decision for you of taking it on with all that was going on?
First of all, it was very, very hard for me. Sometimes when I even right now I want to cry, but it's something that is very, very hard to take up because the moment you say that I'm going to stay at home with my kids, all the people around you, no matter what, they'll start saying, "Ha, oh, you don't want to take care of the money." They think about the money first. You understand?
Yeah.
And yet, for me, the reason I was doing it, number one, was that, as you know, childcare costs in the UK, they are very, very high. So when you go and calculate and say that, okay, let me go and work, you're going to get that money, and then you're supposed to pay this money, this person the minimum wage. You yourself, you're earning the minimum wage. Then you're going to pay this person your money that is taxed already. You pay the minimum wage, then probably your wife is also going to add on some money. So again, you're in what? In losses. Why don't you just stay at home with your kid? First of all, take care of your child and know everything. Give them a startup in life, how they behave, the language they are speaking, the first words they listen to, and all that stuff. Share the memories. Then later on, you can work anytime. Right. Because you've seen people sometimes they leave their kids maybe with maids. I used to see some viral videos those days whereby the maid n'asamba omwana bicho kiraba kati omwana wo n'omulekera omuntu n'anyiiga maybe naye alina their own feelings namusamba kinafuna oba a neural damage or something, or a brain damage or something like that. Then you end up using money that you are working for. You may also get over additional loans and additional help. You understand? So now you're repeating the cycle. Why don't you just sacrifice these years? But the challenges I faced is that every time I could be somewhere, maybe it's a party or what, someone would say, "Oh, there is this job here. Why don't you go and do this job when she has come back on the weekend?" You understand?
Yeah.
So now they are telling me to go and work because now she has worked the whole week. Then I've been with the kids, fine. So now they are thinking that on the weekend I should go and work. You understand? So that means I'll be working like 7 days. I've been with the kids. That is like almost like working. You know, kids, you take them here, take them to the park, cook food and everything. Then on the weekend again, I'm supposed to watch Arsenal or something like that. Now go and work and
Go
this
and
and
work.
this.
Yeah.
And me, I took it as an insult, obviously. It was so insulting because it's not like I have gone to someone to ask them for money. You understand? I'm not depending on those people that are telling me that go and look for work. You understand? They don't know what's happening in my household. They don't know whether the money that we have is enough or not. Which of course the money we have is enough, even we remain with surplus. You
Yeah.
understand? Yeah, because if you no matter how much money you earn, whether little or a lot of money, it depends how you
You
spend it.
spend it. Yeah.
Yes, and people think that, oh, you have to have 4 salaries, you have to work this, you have to have £6,000 a month. You can have £6,000 or £10,000 a month, and still you be saying that you don't have money.
Yeah. Yeah, my aunt was
Yeah,
telling me that, she's like, "Oh, you should get a second job. You should do this because that's what, like, in my family, like, some people go for no money more go could be get a second job. Like, I don't want to drain myself. I
yeah,
could do my one job and I manage my money very well. Nobody name me
yeah.
the MB, but it
Yeah,
doesn't mean that when you work two jobs, you don't have spend time at home. Inyumba ije wagula ojisulamu sawa bidi, then you go to work. Like, it's not all about money at some point. It's about the time and quality, like what you were explaining, like to spend time with your kids and to grow. I'm going through that right now because I have the child I have. My daughter is 3 months old. Fembi
yeah.
tukola. The wife works, I work, and we have to take her to daycare. Na ichinuma mutima ngaba ugambye to pay every week. And these
Every week,
daycares,
yeah.
like they close like tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow is Monday. They're gonna close tomorrow. Tebakuwa
You
explanation
see,
into, but
back especially bagaba, hey,
they're
everything
closed, but you
early.
still have to pay the whole week. Bagina
Yeah,
closing without an explanation, but you still have to pay them their money. And if you think about it, Nogamba, Bari Kuzo Mwanawang, she spends more time there than she does in our house. Like,
yeah,
that's the process we're going through right now. And I think my wife and I are discussing about that to see if she can either stay at home and
yeah,
watch them. Because I like that too. I like her too. Because it give me peace. Like, yeah, Kulane Mama way. Again, I'm
yeah.
that, the bond is there. So I like that idea.
Yeah, because me, for example, what really encouraged me that I'm doing the right thing is that sometimes I would be like, okay, the time we had like two kids, and then one could go to the nursery, and then I would stay with the other one at home. But then the one who goes to nursery all the time would go there, would take the child. Within after some minutes, oh, come, your child has fallen down. Oh, come, your child is not feeling well.
Yeah.
Oh, come. So now I was like, so I said, imagine. Now imagine I'm at work or something like that. And then they call me. Then I start rushing, going. You understand?
Yeah.
Because there's that unrest every time. The person with the child cannot do specific. There are other things you want them to do for the child. Like in case maybe the child is sick, let them go to the hospital, and they are going to the hospital, all this and that. So it becomes I just can't explain. And
Stressful.
and, and of course, like in Uganda, there are some relatives. Uh, they called me and they told me, oh, send us sindikire ku
Yeah.
sente tusasule school fees z'abaganda bo. And
Yeah.
that's the thing. Me, what really annoys me, and I've never said this by the way, my my father did not take care of me.
Yeah.
You understand? Nothing. Yeah, you know this side they pay for you fees and everything. The public schools, the government helps and they pay fees and everything, and maybe the personal support. My dad paid nothing,
Yeah.
like purely nothing, no school fees, nothing. My mom went ahead and asked for help. You're crazy. You're crazy. You understand? So now I study and my education gets to a level whereby it's about let me say S4, the end of high school. So before I go to the upper high school, the lower high school, which is O level. So, but all that time, my mother used to tell me, go and visit your dad, go and visit this. My dad never, even at least I would understand if he didn't pay anything like school fees or anything like that. But even no emotional support, not being there, this, you understand?
Yeah.
It was my mom who was always putting up that thing. So now I've succeeded, probably I've finished all my stuff. Now, in their minds, they think that, okay, like, yeah, this guy has graduated and now he's going to contribute to the school fees of the kids he has right now.
Yeah.
And probably he's even getting more kids. You understand? So they want me to contribute. Hell no, I won't do that.
When you tell them I don't have money, they will not believe that because
Yeah.
and then they start getting
Yes.
mad, annoyed at you.
Yes. Now that's the problem. You understand? And now that thing has really helped me. In the moments when I don't have the capacity, it has shown that thing. You know, this you go through them, you pass through these things, and then you realize that God is showing you something. There's a reason why things happen in that way. You understand? I was there, I didn't have money, but they did not understand. You understand? My brother did not understand. And I criticized my brother because I thought that he would understand. They never want to talk about these things. They're supposed to be role models.
Yeah.
Okay, me in my case, me, because I'm their child, they're supposed to be role models. My mom goes, she gets married to someone else. You understand? So she has progressed her life, she has had her kids and all that. My dad goes, doesn't, I don't know what happened, doesn't get, I just realize every time I go and visit, another wife, another lady, another wife. You understand that sort of thing. So now he gets kids in different what? Different women on this other side. So he is kind of like a bit messed up this side.
That's something too I've had in my life, and there's some people in my life. The same exact story. It might not be like the jumping around thing, but just the irresponsible part of it. Like, you have a job, you have an opportunity, you don't want to work, you don't want to do. You get an opportunity, you mess it up. You don't respect people. You always just need kuwa wisente, and it gets to a time that they look at us who are in the diaspora to save them out, but we also struggle with our own issues. Like if you make the decision to, I'm gonna stay home and take care of my kids, you're not making money, and you're supposed to live on whatever money you're making. To you and your wife will come with a plan. If one to gonna quit, or this will be enough for us, without putting other people in your plans, because that's not your job. That's not your job to put other people in your budget. But it doesn't stop you from helping in case of an emergency, which we have done. Now, the hardest part for me has been, even after I had my daughter, like, you have your daughter, that's another dependent person on you, on whatever money you make. Nti kasande nekowaada ofisaawo kati olina omwana agenda okulwala, agenda okwetaaga engoye, agenda okwetaaga bino ki. So, but when you explain these things to the people back home, nti munange, I don't have money, ekyo tebakina mu bwongo bwange, bamanyi oli mu America, akasente weekali nga bakunyiigira.
Actually, we bakula bagamba kino kimu kibi kina sente kyeka kikola like this amount of money nga kibala ntino bwajjako by the time once ne babala kibwajjako rent bakola bwatu bakola asigazaawo bitano ebyo byange. So you understand this
nga bakukazaako yali stingy, tavaako kasente akasente takolera ggwe.
That is Bonnie. That's why for me I reached a point negamba omanyi, but now it's time to see my other side. Now it's time for me to talk, and then they understand that I'm not a joking subject. You understand? I'm not a joking subject. Because kati okumanyira kwali kutuuse we kwita.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? It was just, you understand? They look at you, they think, oh, why you don't have sense that, oh, this guy is a child and he will do this and this. Eh?
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, body, I was, like, for example, I was like, okay, that time the relations were a bit, this and that. So, Nengamba, let me try to involve these people in my life again. So, now it's this person I didn't want to, ashame Nengamba, this.
Yeah.
So I connect this person through a WhatsApp group. We're there in the hospital. I was like, okay, now let me join her and then the other families and everything. So they're on the whatever, on the phone, WhatsApp, looking at the baby and all this. Then this person is like, you know what? This guy, I told him to give the child this name, but the child, now this person wanted me to give my child their name.
Mm-hmm.
Okitegera,
Yeah.
like muwe erinnya lye, erinnya, like erinnya lyakozesa the person's exact name, like you Bonnie is saying that
Mm-hmm.
I should give my child, call my child
Bonnie.
Bonnie. You
Yeah.
understand? So that's the person wanted. So me, I take it like a form of colonization, because I
Mm-hmm.
feel like, okay, you want me to give my child your name, and this is, and for me, my anger was coming from that you people never took care of
Mm-hmm.
me.
Mm-hmm.
Then why are you trying to do things that are authoritative? Yes, I know it's the culture, you give names and that, but understand, now we are living in modern times.
Exactly.
You understand? I told the person, this child has been given the name
Mm-hmm.
by the father
Mm-hmm.
who is going to take care of this child.
Exactly.
Full stop.
Yeah.
Full stop. That statement involved different properties in it. I wanted to highlight that number one, you did not take care of me,
Mm-hmm.
and you have no authority to give me those orders right now.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? Because it was too much. Yali, you understand? There's a point where it's a boiling point. I think you can have some conversation with relatives and you reach a boiling point whereby,
Mm-hmm.
you know what? I think all my life, I've been so polite to people and
Yeah.
this, but
And you
sometimes
look
people
like
take
a
it
humble
for
person.
granted. Yeah, I'm very, even asking, I'm very, even the people in schools and all that,
Yeah.
very humble. I'm very humble that I also don't smoke, I don't drink. But
Yeah.
when people see me, they think I smoke or drink.
You
I
know?
don't, because they may see me and they think I'm high or anything, but I'm very humble. So once I said that, this person sent in the chat, I think the person woke up and said, now that is it for me. That is where I've stopped.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, now ever since, even if I send the person a message, happy birthday, doesn't reply. This is now it creates a weirdness between me and the kids.
Mm-hmm.
The kids, we grew up with the kids, and now talking to the kids, it becomes so weird because now you know what? Their parent is not good terms with me.
Yeah.
You understand? All that kind of thing. But then my mother told me during the wedding, and she made a speech, and she said, you know what? You're going out there, but you're going to make friends and enemies. And that is the thing
Yeah.
about life.
That's
You
life.
understand?
Yeah.
So you
Life.
just never
Mm-hmm.
again, because at the end of the day, when it's time to bury you, you go alone.
Yeah. That's the thing that I think I experienced too in my life when I had my daughter. Like we were in that time. Atakasente kali kambuza ebiseera ebyo. You know, in America, my wife had to go to like the hospital for ultrasounds. Dracula ultrasounds and got like 10. Like every time you go to the hospital, that's another bill. That's another bill. Even at
Yeah.
home. And if she's going to the hospital, you can only have a lot of PTO, you see. So sometimes it's not paid. Now kenyini ovude ku mulimu gwo ogenze mu ddwaliro okumulabako, you're not getting paid. So at that time you're losing money. And but in that time, nze, I didn't need people to give me money. I told
Yeah.
them I can work and take care of my family. I don't need anybody to give me money. I just need some
Yeah.
support. So kugumya, hey, buli kimu kigenda kubeera bulungi tukusabira. I see that, just that kind of thing. But I never got even that. Osigera. So bwetumala kuzaala omwana, then you start getting these messages. Hey, omwana anatulabako ddi, omwana agenda kola, omwana tomukola bwoti, omwana tomukola. I told them, tewali muntu n'omu agenda kumpa mateeka ku mwana wange. If you were not here to help me through the hard times I went through, if you were not in her life, tolina kyogenda kumpa mateeka ku mwana wange. But they wanted to bring those things of like, hey, tulina omuwa erinnya ly'ekika biki, temumanyiira linnya lya kika. I named my daughter Chibuka. That's my last name, and then my wife
Yeah,
and I came up with the other name, and then we got her the middle name. Ebyakina
yeah,
mwana wachika mwana wachi. Yes, mwana agenda sigala wa mamba. Achimanyi wa mamba. I'm going to train her.
yeah,
Musomese, this is your clan. This is what. But I'm
yeah.
gonna do that as me, because
Yes.
it's my
It's
daughter.
actually your thing is also the same because even me actually for a year even me I said you know what Mukibi that's it. So I told my wife you know what the rest of the names just because we as men those are things that are like over like what like I feel like they are not so like over an issue so
Yeah,
much you
yeah.
understand because oyinza okuvaano nonaminga omwana we erinnya then bwakula neyeyita xyz you understand neyeyita chameleon oba something like
Hey,
that oba
over
Snoop Dogg
alien skin.
oba alien skin kati obeera notekamu effort nyingi mbono yena kyekoledde what you
Yeah.
just
Anyway, some of the questions I'm going to ask you as we wrap up is what's
yeah
a life lesson you've learned in life to this point?
um I've learned that people will like to see you when you're failing. Most people, but the people will like to see you that you're failing so that they can exert their power over you. You understand? Like it's I don't know if it's human nature or what, but me most of the things, and I've realized that apart from my direct family where my mom is, I realized that support can come from your friends. It can surprise you that your friends can be more supportive than
Then
your
family.
actual like distant family. Because then I call it the other, and I call it the distant family. Then one is the family, but it can come from your the normal friends that you meet in life, the new people. They can support you and give you advice more than your actual whatever.
That's
Yeah,
definitely true. The other one, what gets you excited about life besides Arsenal?
about life.
Yeah.
Things like guitars,
Oh yeah, that's
guitars,
that's cool.
music.
Yeah.
I think I like music, and I reached a stage whereby like I knew so many things, but now I'm more concentrating more on like music, and now I want to put all the skills I have into the other thing, the project, because I want to do something whereby my children are also involved so that they can know that they can make whatever, whether it's money or what happiness, whatever it is. So I thought I show them that other dimension that if you do this, you can do this. If you want to show them to do, want them to do something, it will be more of green screen work and interacting with cartoons and all that. I want to for them to have something to say that, well, I did this. Then they go back behind and ask me, how did we do this?
Right.
Then I will tell them, I used the computer, I did this, I learned this. So I'll go back there and I did this, and that, and that, and that from this and that. So they will know that it wasn't just what they are seeing now, but there are various building blocks that got me to where I am right now.
My final question is, who would you like to see on this podcast next as a guest? And you're going to help me and you connect me to that person.
To that person,
Yeah.
I have some guy here in the UK. He's a pharmacist.
Okay.
He has been here longer than me. For him, he's even a citizen. He has been here like for over 10 years. He's the Ugandan. He's called Greg.
Okay.
I'll talk to him. I'm sure he'll come. He's
Yeah.
called Greg. He used to study in I think in Deje.
Okay.
Then he came here probably after his S6. Then he did, but probably his parents were already here. Then he did whatever pharmacy, and then he's a good guy. He's a pharmacist. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be nice. I like talking to people and learning about their lives and their experiences, especially Ugandans who are in the diaspora. I
Yeah,
want
he's
to
a
hear,
Ugandan.
yeah, I want to hear about what you guys go through. And like you and I talking, we found out like we go through some similar things together. And that's something I want to put out other people to learn a thing or two from our life experiences. Maybe you come to the US, oh no, guy, you get opportunity into. I see it happening. Oh, this guy talks about. Oh, people can relate. Those who can
Yeah.
relate to what we talked about. So once again, Mukibi, I thank you. We're to give me
Yeah,
your
thank you
time.
so
I know
much.
you're a very busy man, family, and all
Yeah,
that, but
yeah,
thanks for sacrificing this time to be with me here.
yeah, yes. Okay, thank you so much, Bodi. Yeah.
Hey there, this is Bonnie Kibuka, the host of the Ugandan Boy Talk Show. Thanks for watching and listening to my podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you share it with a friend and recommend somebody to this podcast. Don't forget to leave a feedback on this podcast because that's how we grow. And also don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and comment. Join us on our social media platforms on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. So we would love to hear from you. Thank you very much and be blessed.